Welcome to the Right Club Podcast, where the focus is on helping you, the real estate investor, advance to the next level. And now let's join this week's hosts and share ways for you to customize your life.
So if you, and I'm sure you've heard this question before, but when you go in to look at it, say a reno, like it's okay. So say it's your typical small bungalow, it's a bit outdated, and you've got somebody who's not that maybe experienced in real estate investing, but is looking for some advice, some consulting. What are the top 3 things that you recommend that investor do to increase the refi value?
So, I mean, you have to go in there and look at a house on a case-by-case basis, but the number one return on investment always is painting, right? For cost versus reward. Good flooring is extremely important in durability. So that's, I guess I should prefix with that is when you're creating a home for a rental, the idea is to have it as low maintenance as possible. So when you're looking at what you're going to do, you want to make sure that it's going to last more than 1 year, because tenants are generally going to be rough on things. So the materials you pick and how you go about things is really important to make sure it's durability, number one. Obviously, it's going to look good. So like, because I'm an electrician, I'm always going to prioritize what's behind the walls before what's in front of the walls. It's not sexy, but it's going to cost you the most money later if you don't do up front, and it's going to cause you the most issues. So as I said before, if you have to make a choice between a furnace or some electrical updates versus your quartz countertops, I'm going to fight you tooth and nail to make sure you do that. And again, it doesn't affect my life any after I leave this job, but I know that it's going to cause you issues. So a lot of the coaching stuff that a lot of the consulting stuff we do, it's making sure they know the risk versus reward of doing this now or later, because sometimes the people just don't have the budget or to do everything they want to do. So how you prioritize, that's extremely important. So for rentals, generally bathrooms are big. I mean, that's going to be a big one. So you want to make sure it's in good shape, or if not, redo it. Kitchens are always subjective, but it's always going to give you the best. It's going to give you a wow factor and a good refinance. But again, if you're in a decent cabinets where you can fix it up, then you're going to do that. Flooring is extremely important. Everybody loves hardwood, but hardwood's going to get ruined every single tenant life cycle. And, if you look at $375 to refinish the floors, or $5 to put in brand new vinyl and you never have to do it again, well, that's how we're going to lead you. Bright spaces, good lighting, good safety. And so basically the top 3 are flooring, painting, and bathrooms, other than the fact of the major things that like behind the wall stuff. But so it's just strategic planning of renos, especially unless you're going to redo the place, is challenging. So you take the budget. By the way, no one's budget's ever the right budget for a project. I think everybody knows that. So that's one of the bigger tips I'll say is do not take advice on renovation costs from a realtor unless they're a really experienced realtor who's done a lot of things. So I work with some great duplex realtors that know costs. So what's really heartbreaking is when you get someone who buys a deal on bad advice and all of a sudden they're in shambles because they didn't realize how much things were going to cost, and then all of a sudden this deal doesn't make sense. And I see it all too often. So it's who you take your advice from. There should be very few people you take like renovation costs budget advice from. But that's one of the bigger tips I'll ever put out there.
Thanks for listening to the Right Club Podcast, where the focus is on helping all levels of real estate investors advance to the next level and help you customize your life. Be sure to tune in next week at rightclub.com/podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you get a few seconds, please rate the podcast wherever you're listening. It helps the show get noticed by others like you, and we truly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe.